Hey everyone, it's Louisa. For the purposes of this troubleshooting video today, I am not wearing any sculpt. I'm not going to be doing any of that today. I just want to troubleshoot with you on brightening and talking about a couple of do's and don'ts. I think when it comes to Demi Colour, it's really easy for us to get it overcomplicated. So it's actually really simple, and I just want to put that into perspective for you today, and I'm going to give you some examples. Okay, so the first thing that I want to start on is I want to talk about just a couple of things that you don't want to see when you are doing Demi Colour. So the very first most important thing is to remember that when it comes to Demi Colour, the object is not to have makeup all over your entire face, okay? That's completely the opposite point. The point of it is to really learn to embrace the parts of your face that make you, that you love, but you get to pick out the things that you don't love. Isn't that great? So that is the beauty of it. There's a couple of things. I love my face. I'm happy with it. I think when you first start, it feels really overwhelming, and you feel like you have to cover every little thing, but that's just because that's kind of standard makeup, and that's just always been what it is, right? Cover everything up and then put everything back on your face, and having to create shadows that were already there that you covered up in the first place and all that kind of stuff. So this is where it really differs, is that we're just working on pinpointing areas that we would call distracting or that we don't absolutely love. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find those areas of distraction. We've been over that before already, I'm sure. And I'm going to want to try to neutralize those colors. So what we're really talking about today is how you know that you have the wrong color, or just kind of some little things that happen, not necessarily anything specific like trying to cover acne or anything like that. Those are covered in other videos. Today's video is just about when things go wrong. So for instance, I'm going to pick out a couple areas of distraction that I'm going to pinpoint in this video, and I'm going to show you the do's and the don'ts on it. Okay, so I have a couple of larger areas, just some little blemishes that I have. I feel like there's a pretty excess purpley blue in there, because it's just kind of a fading blemish. So it's easy to want to go right there, go straight to green and say, hey, there's red. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just take my little tiny spot brush here, and I'm going to go and put green directly on this color. Okay, now, as you can see, I've kind of created a problem because now that is a white spot. So what I've done is I've completely canceled out all of the peachy red, any kind of like the skin color, my skin tone in that area, because I haven't neutralized the excess color. I've neutralized all color by just putting a straight up green on there. Okay, so now what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to correct everything in that area and just kind of keep going. So let's keep going. I'm going to, now everything else looks really dark. So now I'm going to put green on everything. And what starts happening is I am now coming up with all these little white chalky spots on my face because I've taken all of the color out of that area. So I'm going to go ahead to the other side over here, and I'm going to show you Next, I'm going to move into another area of concern that a lot of us have and that I have, that's kind of a distraction area, which is that I feel like my cheeks get really rosy, and then my chin gets rosy. Maybe it's your nose for you. Any kind of a large area like that that's going to get rosy that you don't particularly love to have that redness there, it's going to be really tempting for you to want to say, okay, well, I see red spots here, so I'm just gonna go in again. Let's grab the green and I'm just going to sweep green over that whole area. And take the color out of that area. Now, while you've definitely taken out some of the color, the problem is that you still have a very large variation now in color and tone there, because you went outside of the line of demarcation for that color that you originally saw, right? So you see the redness, and what we think is just one big spot. But if I move over here to this side, these little tiny red areas, I'm still gonna go to the darkest points of those little areas and just take my tiny tip here, and I'm just gonna pick out those areas. Now, when I touch the color to these areas, they disappear. And that's how I know that I'm on the right track. Now we're gonna go back to this area before. I just wiped off the color that we put on it before, and I'm going to correct it with the correct color, but I'm gonna use a much bigger brush this time. So I want you to see what happens when you go in there and you just use too big of a brush. So now I've gone outside of the line, so now it's haloing. Okay, can you see that kind of a little halo? It's a lighter around it. And the actual blemish itself has just shown right back up again. Okay, so using the most important color there, or the correct color there, but then also the most important thing to remember is to only put color on color. If it turns muddy, you've used the wrong color. If you start to see color, you've used the wrong color. And if it turns white or chalky, you've used the wrong color. The best thing to do is just to wipe it off and then go and get the correct color. I'm gonna go ahead and put that on there and only apply it to the area where there actually is color. Again, I was seeing excess blue there, so I just used a little bit of that 01 and it disappeared. Very nice. You can see still a couple other areas where I've still left that green, and see how chalky it is and not smooth. Okay, so now let's talk about under eyes. This is a hot topic always in makeup. I want to talk to you about the purple bags that we all have on either side. So it's going to be super tempting for you to go in and say, I have purple bags. So, and let's see, the area is about this big. So I'm going to take this brush here, and I'm going to take this yellow, and I'm just going to place it right over top. Of everything that's purple. Okay, obviously that's dramatic. There's a lot of purple there now. So let's blend it out, or a lot of yellow. Okay, so that did something for it, but now we still really have this pretty big line here, and there's a really big difference between my under eye and the rest of my skin. So now I'm gonna have to go in there and correct that as well. So let's just keep going with the yellow. Okay, you can still see the lines and the bumps, and it looks really yellow. All right, but now what I've done is really kind of made it into what we do with concealer a lot of times. So I'm just gonna leave it there because I want to show you the difference between your standard method and I'm even trying to kind of make this look a little bit good so that way it's believable. And why it's not better. Okay, so I'm gonna get my tiny brush here and I'm gonna go to the other side. There is definitely some purple. I see a lot of blue right here. And the biggest thing is that it's kind of a cluster of these, I would say kind of a purpley spots just right here in this line that's actually really making any kind of darkness right here. Okay, so now that I have this madness over here that I've created, I would need to go in there and correct that as well, and that's going to create a lot of creasing because there's going to be more product upon more product upon more product. So what I'm going to do with this area instead is I'm going to, because it's a larger area, I'm going to pick out the darkest points, which are right here, and I'm not even going to go in and just wipe, okay, because again, this is a big cluster of spots making that look like a dark circle or half circle. And I'm going to go to the darkest points again. Even if it looks all the same color, going straight in and just wiping it all over the area, I might create a bigger problem. So I'm just going to start picking out the darkest points of those areas. Of that area, I mean. Okay, now as I picked that out, I feel like there is a deeper line right here, and it's a lot of excess blue because I know that because it's darker. So I'm going to go over into my orange, my little O1, and I'm just going to pick out the darkest points of that line. It's easy to want to go all day, but that's why we're just focusing on just a few distractions, and just once you filter those out and you can see the beautiful luminosity of your skin that belongs to you, the beauty that belongs to you. This side over here, you can see there's a lot more texture. You can see those white spots where I didn't have the correct color. You have a couple of areas where there's haloing, some muddiness, and then of course you have a giant collection of makeup here under my eye. And you see the makeup. It's not that it's not bright, it's just that it's right there, and it depends on which way that I look, whether or not it looks like it's covered, as opposed to this side over here, where every angle it looks fresh, it looks natural, it looks like me, and that's what we're going for with Demi Colour. You can definitely get to a place where you just can go and go and go, and the whole idea is to be able to just bring out the features that you want to highlight by diminishing the ones that are there, and just kind of pulling focus for your face. So just make sure that you kind of know when to stop. Is you're not trying to cover absolutely everything. You are just working on neutralizing and filtering out those distractions so that you can have that natural beauty. Your natural beauty can shine through, and you can feel confident and love your skin and love your face.